Let's get spooky. This is our Station Boo, where we explore the dark and mysterious corners of the world of horror, and we know that you are dying to listen.
All right, welcome to Earth Station Boo, where we talk all things horror. We've got a good one. We do talk all things horror here, and we have our lovely haunted host with us. We've got our lovely Lisa.
Hey, spooky freaks.
I got our kick-ass Karen over here.
What's up, my horrorholics?
I am your spooky Shannon. We are with one of our favorite people, Miss Rebecca. Yeah.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Hey horrorholics, it's Shannon. Earth Station Boo has just launched its brand new merch store. It's time to get your hands on some killer gear. From our fun logo shirts, cozy hoodies, Let's Get Spooky stickers, and Horrorholics Anonymous totes, there's something for every one of our lovely little ghouls. We offer our spooky designs on many different types of products to fit your desires. But if you happen to see a missed opportunity, just let us know. And unlike most of Stephen King's adaptations, you know what I'm talking about, you won't be disappointed with the quality of the products. Head over to our link tree in our bio, grab your merch, show off your favorite horror podcast, and most of all, let's get spooky.
Trick or treat. We've all done it. We've all been there. We know the whole shebang-a-bang. We've dressed up. We've done the jack-o'-lanterns as kids. What is everybody's favorite thing about trick-or-treating? Like as a kid. Not the movie, but like the actual thing.
I mean, it's the candy, right?
Yeah.
Basically getting like, I didn't get to eat a ton of candy growing up, but that was the one day where it was like, I got to, my parents, of course, would, go through it because there was still, I guess there still is that urban legend that like people hide razor blades and stuff in candy, which has been proven to not be true, but they would still, break open everything and check it all, make sure it's not unwrapped. And then they would take what they want and then, get to eat all of my candy. So yeah, that was the best thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's like taking, or now it's, was getting the candy, but for now it's like taking my nieces out because I like watching them dress up and watching the the joy and happiness that they get from getting candy, and then I get my aunt tax, auntie tax,
candy tax.
Yeah, yep. Lisa.
All my kids are grown now, so I like take some of my friends' kids out trick-or-treating so I can get the candy. But I also like when the kids trick-or-treat at my house because except for this year, I usually I have a jumping spider and a whole bunch of stuff. And it's just kind of fun to see the kids' reaction and see all the costumes. I love the costumes. One year, this kid had one of the best costumes ever. He had whatever that football player that in Atlanta that got in trouble for the pit bulls. He had that costume with a bunch of pound puppies attached to him with blood coming out. It was the best costume ever. Wow. I love to see the yeah. So it was really cool. So I like seeing the costumes of the kids, and I like taking my friends' kids out to get candy, and I of course get candy.
Of course.
Of course, the only reason why we have to check our candy is because of one dude who killed his kid. Mm-hmm. For insurance purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now, but people still think there was a big rash of killings and that it was, strangers putting things in candy. And my mom still, like up until she passed away a few years ago, still thought that was a real thing. And I'm like, Mom, it's been proven. It was like one guy and it was his own kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, I mean, I guess, it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in this world, you never know what somebody else is going to do. Mm-hmm. I always loved trick-or-treating, but it was my birthday. So it was this weird event for me because I would go trick or treating in my grandmother's neighborhood. Well, everybody knew my grandma. And because they knew my grandma, they knew it was my birthday. So I would go trick or treating and I would get full bags of candy with like big candy bars and things like that because it was my birthday. And they're like, "Oh, happy birthday. Here you go." And they would, hand me my birthday present, which happened to be my candy that I was trick or treating for. And so, I never got the like I don't know, it was special for me. I always enjoyed it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? Right? Honestly, Halloween is the best day to be born on. You get candy, you get cake, you get presents, you get to dress up, and there's always a party.
Mm-hmm.
True.
What more could you want? What more could you want? We're actually going to be talking about the movie Trick or Treat, which started off as in-class doodles for the creator, which then he got told, "Hey, you need to like actually make this into something." So he made a short called Season's Greetings. It became a thing to where then people who saw it said, "Hey, yo, dude, you need to make this into a feature film." And then finally in 2007, Trick or Treat was released. And there is rumors of a sequel, which I actually wouldn't be quite mad at, only because I feel like there could be some interesting tales to be told, especially since it's so open to not just Halloween specific.
Yeah.
But what is everybody's initial thoughts on the movie Trick or Treat? Lisa, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. When I first saw it, I really, really liked it. It's definitely a Halloween film. Gives you. I like how it had all the rules and everything. It's like my number one Halloween film. Yeah, it was very well written, and I like the anthology thing because I'm a big Creep Show fan anyway. So I like small, short anthology horror movies. Mm-hmm. It seems sometimes when they're not, it takes a little bit longer. But this was like really good. I liked it a lot. My impression was it was really good.
Okay. Karen?
I like the whole anthology feel of it. You got your separate stories, but they're also intertwined with each other because most, anthologies, they're like the separate stories. I like the fact that it took place in one city with different people. They meet each other through passing. You're like, oh, okay. And then, stuff happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
Be it good or bad. Mostly bad.
Hey, they broke the rules. There are consequences to your actions. Rebecca, what about you?
Oh, yeah. I remember going to see it when it came out. And like Lisa and Karen, I also love the anthology aspect of it because I've always been a big fan of movies like Creep Show and Tales from the Crypt TV show, Tales from the Dark Side, that kind of stuff. So I thought they did a really good job. I also I've loved Halloween since I was, basically born. And so I love not only the fact that they capture Halloween in such a good way, but they also sort of talk a little bit about the traditions of Halloween, and not a lot of other movies have done that. And not just the sort of the modern aspect of Halloween, but they talk a little bit about the folklore behind it, which I thought was really interesting. And it's become, for me, it's been one of those like classic Halloween things that I have to watch, every year around the holidays.
That's fair. Absolutely fair. Again, like you guys said, the anthology aspect of it is really well done. And I like movies like this one, that the way that they do it is so intertwined. Like one of my favorite Christmas movies is Love Actually, that does the same thing, where it's all these separate stories that could be movies on their own, but when you go and you throw them together into these like really great little like package deals and how they slowly interchange and come together. And when you have Sam as that like integral piece that kind of just hops around and is the witness to all of it, it makes for a very interesting and fun movie to watch over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and talk about the 4 main big stories. There are other like little stories that go along with it, but there are 4 like main stories. We've got the principal, we've got the virgin, we've got the teens with the bus, and then we also have the cranky old man. So let's go ahead and start with the principal, because he's at the beginning and at the end for most of this. Rebecca, you want to start us off with the principal?
Oh yeah, Mr. Wilkins. Yeah, I love. He might be my favorite part of this movie because Dylan Baker is a fantastic actor, and like he's one of those actors that like you might not know him by name, but I guarantee if you see him, you're like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
And he is so good about, as he's sitting there with the other kid who, stealing on the candy, kind of telling him about, this is Halloween is more than just candy, it's about tradition. And kind of explaining that before he, kills him because he broke one of the rules, and he's being kind of a glutton. And then teaching his son also sort of his tradition of Halloween. Like this is what we do to people that don't follow the rules of Halloween. Made me smile. Yeah, and then his interactions with Mr. Krieg, who again we see later on in the film.
Yeah.
But they're sort of their way they cross paths is quite funny. Yeah, I would say that's probably one of my favorite of the 4 stories, just for him, for that actor alone, because he's so good.
Yeah, and then he evolved. Everything he was doing so far, Sam was like,
yeah, he's like, Sam's not, according, as far as Sam sees, he's not breaking any of the rules. He's enforcing them, so he's actually helping Sam. So he's okay.
Yeah, like Sam was like all hunky dory, okay with them, but then you have when he did decide to finally go against protecting everything, and it was going and killing that girl at the street fair as the vampire. And then that is why he got offered up to the werewolves. He heard an
Oh no, see, I always thought it was more of just that he just happened to pick on the wrong group of girls. He went after, with his vampire thing, was going okay, and then he's like, oh, well, he happens to pick, the werewolves. Who decide to make him, that's her first time.
But he killed the one chick who was dressed up doing Halloween, and then he went and he stalked this other one. So
true.
So he was one of the rules is never hurt the innocent. So,
but how do you define innocent? Because most people think children are the innocents.
Yeah, and I always thought the innocents were the kids on the school bus who, weren't doing anything wrong, but the parents were sick of taking care of them because they couldn't really take care of themselves, and they paid, Mr. Krieg, all that, which I know we're getting way ahead in the anthology. But I always saw them as, that was the rule that he broke. He harmed the innocent, and so he, had to pay. And also, he didn't give out candy. I mean, he broke a few rules, so he had it coming.
But I think there does need to be a line of like what constitutes innocence. But you have both of the girls that he went after were dressed up. They were following all the other rules of Halloween. So in Sam's eyes, there's no reason for them to be harmed. So therefore, they would be innocent.
Well, the thing is, if Sam knew what the other girl was,
and I kind of thought that he did know that they were werewolves and that they were actually maybe, I don't know if they were hunting him or if he just happened to come along at the right time. Yeah. And they're like, oh, here's a good one to
he stopped her first because she was looking for somebody. I mean, this is just a great segue into the virgin story. So,
Right.
but no. So we have the virgin. All the other girls found somebody, and they're like, okay, you need to go find somebody. So she was off looking for someone when he started going after her and when he started stalking her. So she might have just been like, all right, well, this just makes it easy. But he's the one who initiated it. She wasn't necessarily looking for him specifically.
Right.
That is very true.
Like,
that is true.
It's almost like more of like well, might as well, since he's here and since he's not going to leave me alone, I might as well.
Yeah.
You know,
and I like that
victim of circumstance.
Right. And you have like her sister and her sister's friends. They're all like, look, we've all gone through this as well. You know, you just have, you have to find,
find the right one.
You find the right one. And, she's like, I just always thought my first time would be special. And and then how they're talking about their previous, trips around and, which I liked the line where one of the girls said something like, I guess got sick. And she's like, oh, I just had some bad Mexican.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Mexican food?
It's not until later that you realize, I mean, it was food, but not what, not what we were initially thought that it would be.
Exactly.
When the first time I saw that movie, I didn't quite catch that and then, I saw it and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And you have a clue when the sister says, yeah, my mom was always afraid for her because she was the runt of the pack or the runt of the litter. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was definitely a hint.
It was a little on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were the nasty werewolves that ripped their skin off. I was like,
I'm not
actually thought that was really cool. Yeah, I thought that was really cool, that transformation.
It's cool. Because you have different types of werewolves, like one that actually transform like the whole body and stuff transform. Then there's the ones that you have to rip off their skin. And I was like, that's what my sister-in-law calls them, the nasty werewolves that they have to rip off their skin.
Well, I wanted to know how they got their skin back on, like at the after they were done and they transformed back. Like
they lose their hair.
I was going to say, like, how did they get their, did they just have a second suit?
Oh no, like when they turn back, they basically the hair they go back down to their size and their hair falls off, and they have.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Personally, I actually really like it when they do like the whole like shedding of like their human skin, because I think it really does kind of talk into more of like the curse of it. I feel like there's a difference between a werewolf, a wolf man, and like a shifter. And I think since they're werewolves, I think the curse of having to shed your human skin was appropriate. And supposedly they did it in a way that was very reminiscent of the Dance of the Seven Veils. And so it was supposed to have a more like erotic tone to like the stripping. So it wasn't their clothes, but it was their human form altogether. And I thought that was kind of cool.
I agree.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
When she was taking the nail down her back and just the way it was like, that was pretty epic.
Yep. Anything else on the principal and the virgin?
I'm just sad that the principal, got it and now his son's by himself.
Yeah.
That is my only concern is what happened to the child.
Yeah, but I mean, given that his dad was teaching him to be, a serial killer,
but
maybe it's well that we know of. We know he was only doing this in Halloween. But maybe it's maybe he needs to be in a. We can just say he actually found a nice loving home and he grew up to be totally fine and well adjusted. And yep, he's totally fine and well adjusted and everything's fine.
And he draws a lot of eyes. Don't forget the eyes.
Right.
Or Sam adopts him.
And takes him on as a little protege.
Yeah.
Little Sam Jr.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. The next big story is the teens and them going to the rock quarry where there's the bus.
Yeah.
So we have the bus that had a bunch of children who were of special needs of some sort, be it behavioral or whatever. It's never truly specified the real afflictions that these children had, who got killed by the bus driver because their
Because
parents were
parents
done
hate
with
'em.
them. And so we have that story, and then there's these kids who are going to pay homage. That was in quotation marks to those children, but it was all a ploy to play a prank on a fellow girl of the group.
Rhonda.
Rhonda.
Rhonda, yeah.
Yeah. So, how do we feel about that storyline? Aaron, you want to go first?
That was kind of a heartbreaking storyline because I knew where it was going when they were talking bad about Rhonda, and I was like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna play a trick on her. And and they did. But they also got, their comeuppance. I did kind of feel bad about the young boy who was like, who was actually getting to know her and talking with her.
The pirate one?
Yeah. And he was like, you know what, when she got hurt, he's like, you went too far with this trick, with this thing. And he's like, I am so sorry. We are stopping this. And he tried to take her to, protect her and take her to another location, and then all hell breaks loose, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's the only one of them that I felt even a little bit of sympathy for. I kind of knew Rhonda was going to be okay just because, at the beginning you see her reverence for Halloween, and not only, Halloween, but she knew just the whole pagan history of it, and, called it Samhain, and was telling, but obviously this, poor girl on the spectrum that they were going after. I was, and I was glad to see that she, like I said, she got away. And also, I love the little sort of like knowing nod, when she and Sam walk by each other, they're like, yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
And then, finding out what happened to the kids on the bus, finding out that was a real thing that happened, that wasn't just some story they made up.
Yeah.
That was actually very sad. I felt really bad for those kids. Not the kids that were playing the trick, but the kids on the bus and Rhonda.
Kids on the bus,
yeah. I know those poor kids on the bus, which that's all connected to the last story, which is the cranky old man who was the next door neighbor to the principal.
He was also playing tricks on the kids that come up to his house. With his dog, which is a very cute little dog. And then we slowly find out that, he's the one that was actually driving the bus, and that who was paid off by the parents. And again, and then also neighbors with Mr. Wilkins. And so, it all sort of, comes together.
He full circle.
And then Sam tormenting him, and because he broke the rules of Halloween.
And he's also across neighbors with the
Rhonda.
Right. Emma, I think it was Henry and Emma.
Yeah. Because he looked across the street at them, and then he went back inside.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Especially when he saw little Sam heading that way, he's like, "Good luck, guys." Because I didn't make it out fine. But you do notice that as soon as Sam got that candy bar off of him, Sam was appeased.
Yeah,
he's like, all right, I'll go. Peace out.
Well, he was appeased, but the kids on the bus were not.
No, they were not.
They were not.
No, they were not.
I actually really liked that one, like that last final. That last final, like, got you moment. And when, you think, maybe Mr. Krig's learned his lesson, and now he's, I don't know where he got all those pumpkins so quickly and all, the candy and stuff. But, once he finally sort of got into it and dressed up and, was trying to do all of the
The
appease Sam.
pumpkins were dropped off by somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody like they pranked him by putting all the pumpkins up.
Pumpkins there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But the candy, he already had all the candy.
That's true.
The candy was
That's
for
true.
himself.
And then the bandages, obviously he had to bandage himself up from being
Right.
almost murdered by Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, great mummy costume.
Which Sam, man, if he wants to go after you, whoa.
Yeah.
You got the box cutter to the Achilles. You
Yeah,
got
that I can't watch. Yeah, I can't that and because that scene in Pet Cemetery where they get I can watch just about anything, but I can't it was Fred Gwynn where little Gage gets him on the back of the Achilles heel.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. I just can't even. Oh, yeah. Just
anything.
But the thing is, he didn't check the candy too, because I think that candy actually came from the principal, because he had all those things on the table with the candy and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the candy I think was.
Yeah.
I think some of the candy was from the principal.
Yeah.
And some of it was from the kids he stole from, because when he had the dog run out and scare him, he took their bags of candy.
That's true.
Which they got from the principal.
Mm-hmm.
So it was poison candy anyways.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay, so we've talked about all of them. We can agree they were all good stories. Which one was everybody's favorite? Rebecca, which one was your favorite?
Well, I said before that I really liked the first story with Mr. Wilkins, but I also actually really enjoyed the story the story with the kids and Rhonda, and because like I said, you hearing a little bit more about she's a lot more into like the traditional like Halloween, not the 20th century version. That we all come to now know as Halloween, but the Halloween previous, All Saints, All Hallows Eve and All Saints Day, and then the whole storyline with the kids on the bus, I thought was just really good, and that's probably my favorite.
Okay, Lisa, which one's your favorite?
I definitely have to agree with Rebecca that the whole kids on the bus and where Rhonda do Samhain and all that, and she had a little boy that was actually starting to listen to her. And I was kind of glad the kids got what they got for trying to tease her and everything. Mm-hmm. I will say all the masks of the kids that were on the bus, they were creepy. They remind me of all those old Halloween movies. I actually have a magnet with all their faces on my refrigerator. But they were really creepy. But it was a sad story, but it was a good story. And then my second favorite had to be the werewolves. But I love werewolves.
Yeah.
I think,
Karen, which one's your favorite?
I mean, I really enjoyed the principal story because of the fact that he was trying to keep with the traditions, and he was teaching his son the traditions of this is what you do during Halloween. Blah, 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 blah. And then I enjoyed the kids with the bus and Rhonda, and she was giving a little bit more of insight to what Halloween really was. Those were my favorite too.
Okay, I would say probably the werewolf one was my favorite. I think I just liked the whole like sisterhood thing that was there, the camaraderie that they had, and then of course like the fun almost like ritual celebration that they had in the woods, where they had their sacrifices and victims and all that kind of stuff, and then her going through the change, and then the dancing and the whole thing about it, I thought was kind of like, this is kind of cool. Like I could actually see that storyline, full arc, full movie, and it'd be like a smash hit. I could totally see it being a smash hit. Not that the other ones couldn't all be stories of their own, but I feel like that one was like the most cohesive one.
But then again, if they made that into a movie, I want to see like vampires, like an actual true vampire, all up in that business.
Yeah.
Because you come into my town and you eating my people? We're gonna have a conversation about this.
True. And then probably my second favorite was the kids in the bus. I think that one was my second favorite. Because I think just story wise, again, it's something that like I could see a whole film on it, and I think I would enjoy it. Now that we've talked about our favorites, what is our least favorite? And let's just keep it to one. Lisa, do you want to start?
Sure. I'd have to say my least favorite was the bus driver guy at the end. I don't know. It just seemed like it was rushed a little bit. You didn't really, I mean, you knew he was kind of gross and all that, but it just, I don't know. I think they could have given a little bit more character development why he did what he did.
Okay. Okay. Karen?
I mean, yeah, you didn't have that. I didn't much care for the bus driver, the cranky old man, because you're like, you have to infer his character development because like once you realize he was the bus driver, you have to think, okay, this is why he is the way he is. But I would love to have a little bit more story with the bus driver. Like, I would like to see, that conversation of the parents. Like, listen, we know you're the bus driver. You take these kids to and from school every single day. I want to see that conversation.
Yeah, agreed.
I want to see more of that growth.
Yeah. Rebecca?
Yeah, I agree with you both that I would have liked to have seen a little bit more story. Although I backed the Kickstarter for the 15th anniversary omnibus, the comic that Michael Dougherty put out. That's like a huge like volume. It's like that thick. And it does go in a little bit more to that, like where, the parents are going to him and things. But again, in the movie, I would have liked to have seen a little bit. But my least favorite was actually not even really one of the 4 stories. It was just a couple at the beginning. That, and I guess that was only really, I felt like that was really only there to sort of set up, a couple of the rules of Halloween. And like, this is what happens to you when you break the rules, like when you snuff out the pumpkin and when you take down the decorations too early and you don't have reverence, for the traditions. Because nothing happened to the boyfriend or the husband. He was fine, but it was because she was the one that was doing all of that. And they were only very loosely connected, I think, to the other stories, and that you sort of see the other characters intersect with them. I just didn't really think that was really needed.
Yeah,
I would have been fine if that hadn't been in the movie.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons why when we were doing like kind of like the setup for the questions and stuff like that for this conversation, I didn't add them to the stories because it was one of these deals of like there's nothing really to talk about. There's no real plot. She started putting stuff away and Sam's like, yeah, that's not how we do things, and she died. There really wasn't anything like to develop. And so
you saw them like 2 other times, like they're in the parade. Yay. And
that's just them in the background though. Like that could have literally been anybody. Had you taken out the scene of her with Sam and like anything else, like anything that was just solely on them, if you took those out,
they'd been fine.
They would have just been background characters throughout.
Yeah, you see them at the very beginning and at the very end, and it basically everything kind of comes full circle in the story. But again, had it just been Sam, maybe like watching everything, and I would have been fine with that, and didn't necessarily, like I said, didn't really need that couple. But.
Yeah, because they didn't really interact with anybody else. It was like, okay, they bumped into somebody, but like it wasn't like an actual like interaction. It didn't add anything to the movie or even to their storyline. Like there wasn't anything of substance for them. So which is why I kind of didn't really add them to the original conversation of like the 4 different plots. But if we're going to go based off of just the 4, I would say probably, the cranky old man. And again, it's kind of what everybody else has said, that it was rushed. There wasn't enough to it. I almost feel like they spent more time on the principal, and then therefore everybody else got like a little bit less time. Like I would have liked had they took a little bit less of the principal and a little bit more of the cranky old man.
And especially because Brian Cox is such an incredible actor.
Oh, yes, he is.
I mean, I just watched Manhunter, and because I had forgotten that he was Hannibal Lecter first before Anthony Hopkins, and he's in it again. He's not even in it that long, but he's like his little bit in there is so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then of course Succession, and I mean everything else that he's been in. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was just one of those, as much as and now that is like a story. Like you could do a whole movie on that about like him before being the bus driver and then like him being this cranky old curmudgeon that lives in this like this house that's starting to fall apart. But there comes like a point where like you either needed to do more or just take it out. Like
right, because it wasn't just for the money, like, or you know, did he, before all of this, when he was the bus driver for these kids, did he have a family? You know, did he have a kid, or you know, did something like, again, you kind of want to know more about like why he did what he did, and then you know, like, you know, because they said no one ever saw the bus driver again, no one realized it was him. As kind of weird.
It's one of these deals of like, okay, so what did he do? Did he just like hide out for like a year, grow a beard, and then like move into the
and obviously it was in the same town, so it's
become a rape.
Like I think we all agree that like we needed a little bit more to that storyline.
We have questions. There's some plot holes. We need answers.
Right.
For the principal, I could have like they could use a random dude that dressed up as a vampire, a series, because they even said that, you know, people are dressing up to blend in or whatnot. They could have gotten a random dude to be like the hunter, and the principal could have been sitting at the house with his son passing out candy.
Or even continuing his education on being a serial killer. Yeah. Like,
best way to carve a face.
Yeah. I mean, there was, there didn't need to be, like, the principal didn't need to be in those other things in order for his story to go on. I mean, I'm not mad at the fact that he got eaten by the werewolves, but, you know, it doesn't hurt or benefit the story in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. With that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about some of these rules. We're going to I'm going to kind of go over them really quick so everybody knows what rules we're going to talk about, and then we'll just kind of like dig into them just a little bit. We have always wear a costume, always pass out treats for trick-or-treaters, always check your candy, and always respect the dead. Then we have never blow out a jack-o'-lantern before midnight, never take down your decorations before November 1st, and never hurt the innocent. So rule number 1, always wear a costume. Who still follows that rule?
Me.
I have my hand raised way high.
Sort of, but I dress up I dress up all the time, so.
I mean,
but I still do,
I dress up for the kids.
There you go. I mean, and you can see in the film, they show people who you can see that they've gone through the years and they're older and they're dressing up and they're having a good time. Like the one lady who is
the teacher.
Yeah, the one. Yeah,
the drunk cat lady.
Yeah, the drunk cat lady who's a teacher who I think is also a werewolf. Wasn't she at the?
No.
I don't think so. I think they were just having they were just having like sexy time party at their house, I think.
But I like how you saw the difference of the costuming from when the kids in the bus, theirs were more, you know, handmade, a little bit scary. And then you get to modern day where it's everything sexy and colorful and whatnot. Yeah. Because back in the day, it's supposed to ward off evil spirits.
Right, exactly. You're supposed to be able to blend in.
Or ward off. Yeah. So the ones from the kids is more like what the traditional Irish folklore traditions were versus now, which is very much
capitalism.
How much booty can you show?
Right. And and the whole thing about because now, you know, we kids tend to wear like costumes based on IPs. Whereas, you know, back in the day, that was not a thing. I mean, kids going door to door wearing costumes wasn't even really a thing until like I think it was like the 30s.
Yeah,
I mean,
20s or 30s.
I mean, people did sort of dress up, but the Halloween that we know now with the kids, was kind of started because, adults in the neighborhood were like, oh, these kids are like, TPing trees and like being rowdy and like we need to give them something to do. So let's get neighborhoods, let's have them go door to door to each neighbors and we'll give them treats and things and so they won't do the tricks. And and they would wear it like it was like ghosts or witches or that kind of a spooky thing. And then it wasn't until much later that it turned into like
Disney
sexy
fairy
little Bo
princess.
Peep and like
I know.
sexy nurse and sexy everything. And for the adults, and then for the kids it's whatever like is popular that year.
Because
Yeah.
that started kind of being more of a thing back in like the 50s, right? Is when it kind of started being like a little less gruesome and a little bit more.
it was like
Yeah, I
between
think
50s
so.
and 60s,
I think
Yeah.
Disney and like stuff like
With like the
Batman and Superman, like being like superheroes and kind of stuff like
Right.
that. When I think
the
when like
Universal
TV and
monsters and
I think when like
Yeah.
TV and movies started getting really bigger and kids saw more of that, and I think that's when like those like established characters I think
Right.
became a thing. Whereas before it was just like just kind of make up your own
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And the second part of it, like passing out the treats, the whole notion of passing out treats is like, it was like more of a 20s and 30s, and the candy came in like the 50s. But traditionally, you didn't pass out like candy; you passed out food,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
bread, and stuff.
Yeah, you
That's
would
bread
bake a
and
bread
cakes.
and then pass it around.
Which that sounds awesome to me. Like I want to
I want bread.
I love
I want
bread.
like bread or like vegetables or like
Mhm.
whatever. I'm like some base goods, but like now you're told, oh, don't take anything that's homemade from people because
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause you
which
have to
goes
check
into
candy.
the old always check your candy thing, which we've
Right.
already discussed is just an urban legend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
But I mean now it's more like instead of doing it because of razor blades and needles and all that kind of stuff, it's more of like there might be gluten in it.
Oh yeah, the
There
little
might be
turquoise.
some cross contamination. Do you have
I
do you have
guess,
nuts in there? Because now my kid has a nut allergy.
Yeah.
and I mean, I do try to make sure that I have like, because there are kids that are, do
Yeah.
have like allergies. And so I do always try to make sure that I have like, suckers or something that doesn't have like, nuts or whatever in it. Because I know there are some kids that actually can't eat that stuff. But yeah, the whole thing with like, I remember like as a kid going to homes and like they would have like homemade cookies and like popcorn balls. And I would be like,
Yep.
yay, this is
Yeah, I
awesome.
love
And my mom
popcorn
was
balls.
like, no, you can't eat that.
Yeah.
You don't know who made that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And which makes me sad for I'm sure every single one of those people were perfectly fine and were probably had been very hurt to know that people were just tossing their stuff because they were told not to eat it.
Just always check your candy.
Yeah.
Yep. Always check your candy, and always respect the dead.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Always respect
Absolutely.
the dead.
Which is what Samhain was originally intended. Like the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest on that
Right.
night. And
Yeah, All Saints Day, all that.
That's why those kids got
this summer's end, and those kids. I don't know. Can we swear on this podcast?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So they fucked around and they found out.
They did. They fucked around. They found out. They did.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a pumpkin with them with a jack-o'-lantern because they would have been safe. But Rhonda had all of them.
Yeah.
Well, there was only
right.
one left because what was her name? Melanie,
Melanie, I think.
Melody, something. I don't know.
Well, and they also
I called her little shit, but
yeah, and those kids also hurt the innocent Rhonda, who was an innocent. They hurt her, so they broke that rule as well. So,
but yeah, they went and they blew out their own jack-o'-lanterns, which is another rule. Like,
don't do that. Leave it lit till
Yeah.
midnight.
Exactly.
Had they left them lit instead of being mean and like blowing them all
I mean, I
out.
let mine go all night long on Halloween, so
I
just to be safe. So
I don't actually light mine with like a real flame because I live in Florida.
Yeah.
So I have a little candle, like a little electric one.
Little
It just sits
candle,
there
yeah.
in there the whole time. We just
Yeah, I have the little candles.
Yeah, we don't have jack lanterns. We just have lights.
yeah, I have the little LED. I have the big LEDs as well. So, but I leave them going. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and I leave my decorations up. I mean, most of them pretty much year round, anyhow. So I'm safe. Like my house, I have a few things outside, but I have some things that I only put out on Halloween. But I would say like half of it is out. Like if you saw my living room, it's like the Haunted Mansion in there. So
Oh yeah.
I figure I'm safe.
oh yeah.
We have spooky
Yeah.
lights. That's it.
Yeah. And I love that, back in the UK, like in Ireland, they would carve turnips because they didn't have
Yeah,
pumpkin there.
exactly.
And it was only until, they came over to America that, turnips weren't as easy to find as pumpkins. And they're like, oh, and pumpkins are actually easier to carve.
Yeah.
And they're a little bigger, so they actually look a little cooler. So, because I actually did try to carve a turnip once. I was at a friend's house in the fall, and she's very traditional. Like she practices Samhain, like the pagan holiday, and she carves the turnip. And those things are hard to make into little jack-o'-lanterns. I'm telling
Yes,
you,
they are.
they are very difficult.
Very, very difficult. So we talked about, we checked all of the always. So we talked about not blowing out your jack-o'-lanterns because that's, you gotta leave them on. Now taking down your decorations.
We don't take down our decorations.
Yeah. I usually stay up for a while.
If I was not in a house with people who aren't in love with Halloween like me, I probably would have them up year round.
Put up Nightmare Before Christmas decorations, and then it's like you got 2 for 1. You leave them up for Halloween and through Christmas. It's like you're good.
I already do that, but it's as soon as Christmas is over, they're like, and that's time to go.
Yeah, that's why I live alone.
In this economy, I would love to.
Oh, well,
yeah,
fair, very fair. Yeah, it's a little rough.
It is. And then the last but not least, and I actually think this is probably the most important rule, is never hurt the innocent, which we've talked about quite a bit already on the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a solid one that should be followed.
Absolutely.
Solid.
Do you guys think that there were any individuals who weren't really innocent that got away with anything?
Not really, because like you have the bigger kid at the beginning that swipes all the candy.
Yeah.
That gets it. You have Mr. Wilkins eventually gets his, Mr. Craig. The girl at the beginning, I mean, her rule that she broke was fairly, I thought, innocuous. Like she wasn't going out to hurt anybody. She just took down the decorations early and she blew out the candle.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't necessarily, I guess you could sort of consider her innocent unless you really want to go by like, she did break one of the 7 sins, the 7 Halloween sins.
But the thing is, you have guests coming and one of us her mother. You're like,
I mean, my mom, it's also like, it's my house, it's my rules. You don't like it, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't like it, don't come over. But
I'm also of the mindset of why would you invite somebody over the next day if you didn't want them to see that stuff?
Yeah,
and if you think about it, these traditions aren't considered like recommendations. A lot of this stuff was ritualistic. It was part of honoring the season and moving on to the next one, which was regarded as a sacred spiritual thing. So when you have
And even people
like,
I know, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was going to say, even people I know that aren't that into Halloween, but like sort of celebrate it, nobody takes it down on Halloween night.
Nobody
Like, you wait
does.
until the next
Nobody
day,
does.
at least, you know?
Yeah.
We keep it up for like a week and then take it out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's one of those deals of like, technically, if you're really looking at it from Sam's perspective, and which is supposed to be this ancient creature who makes sure that people honor the fall
It's like, yeah, the
festivities
enforcer.
and
Yeah.
like, and he's sitting there and he's watching somebody dishonor a ritual essentially,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's like, you gotta go, like,
Yeah.
you know the rule. And Homeboy even said, hey, it's the
He's like,
tradition, you keep
I don't
it
make
up.
the rules. I just enforce them.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, oh, Sam's the villain. I'm like, but is he the villain?
I don't think he's a villain.
No, he's not.
No, he's
I'm
not.
not gonna say he's a hero, but he's not a villain.
No, I think he's just like, again, he's like this, you know, he's sort of is this, you know, connector to all, you know, the stories, and also he's sort of the embodiment of these Halloween traditions.
Yeah.
And it's sort of up to him to, you know, enforce those rules, you know, and those traditions. And, you know, it's I don't know that he does it. I mean, well, he does seem like he was having a lot of fun with Mr. Krieg.
No,
But
he was not.
otherwise, he, like, I think he's like, well, you know, I have a job to do, and you know, it's like like maybe death or something. Like, I have this job to do, and I do it, and I, you know, I didn't make the rules, but I gotta enforce them. So
Yeah. So special effects wise and acting wise, how did you guys feel about this? You guys give it thumbs up, thumbs down?
I give it thumbs up.
thumbs up,
Thumbs up.
thumbs up.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even with the kids, I mean, they did really
Yeah.
good.
And given I didn't look at the budget of this film, but I don't think it was super big. I don't think it was like a huge budget.
I don't think it was.
No.
But I thought, you know, I thought it looked great. I thought all the costumes were great. And this, I think they did a great job. It didn't seem like they relied too much on like, it seemed like they relied a lot more on practical effects than they did on like, you know, CGI or anything like that. So.
And anybody who has actually listened to this podcast knows we are huge, huge fans of using real fake blood.
Real fake. Use more real fake blood.
This was estimated to have a $12 million budget.
Yep.
Wow.
That's not big. I mean, that's tiny in comparison to a lot of other films.
Yeah. And especially of that era.
Yeah. So what, 15, 16, well, 16 years ago. So
yeah.
17 years ago. It's 2024, right? Yeah. I don't even know what year it is anymore. Yeah, 2007. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we
wow.
don't do math here, Rebecca. You're good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no math.
Thank you. Good.
All right.
No math love.
Sam. Our sweet little Sam. I do call this a Sam Stan account because we do love Sam here. So, how did everybody feel about Sam today?
Oh, I love him.
I love Sam.
I love Sam.
Love Sam.
I mean, I'm, you know, he's like my, you know, I've got my shirt on.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
I think he's great. I love the fact that they actually got a little kid to play Sam in the film, because like Michael Dougherty had said that, you know, little kids move differently than like a smaller adult would move. And he has that very childlike, like, not innocence, but he has that childlike, you know, sort of mischievousness and like that glee, and which really comes across. And yeah, I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. In preparing for this episode, I watched a interview with Michael, and he said that he's like, no, I insisted on Sam being played by a kid, which actually, you did get to actually see the kid's face. He was the kid with the lollipop in the costume shop that was spying on the girls.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
little
right.
kid is the one who played
Yeah.
Sam the rest of the movie. But Michael was like, "No, I need to have a kid be in this. Like, it has to be. There's no other ifs, ands, or buts about it." So I think that is kind of cool, and I agree with him. Like, Sam is a kid at heart. Like, you have to have a kid play him. You just have to. All right, so we're gonna do our final thoughts and our skull ratings. Remember, guys, 5 skulls is we absolutely love the film. 1 to 0 skulls. We usually like to at least give 1 because people did work hard on it. But don't give me that look, Karen. People did try, and not just the writers and the directors and the actors. There's other people who had to deal with all the stuff that they did. So we have to at least give them at least a 1 for all of the people who.
I always say that no one sets out to make a really horrible movie. Like, I think people go in with the best of intentions. They may not go in with the best of skills, but they go in, I think, wanting to do well. And the fact that somebody even tries, I'm like, go you, because like not everybody tries.
Not everybody tries.
I will get I would give somebody a skull, just like you get a skull for effort. For the attempt. Yeah.
So yeah, 5 skulls means that we absolutely adore and love this. 1 and or 0 skulls means like you didn't. So, Rebecca, as our guest of honor, let you go first with the final thoughts and your skull rating.
Well, as I said at the beginning of the episode, this movie has over the years become one of my seasonal staples to watch, right up there with, The Nightmare Before Christmas and John Carpenter's Halloween and, The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. So it's added to that list of movies that I have to watch every year. And I would give this 4.5 skulls. As we said, there are a couple little things that I would have been fine had they not done. But overall, I thought it was a great anthology. And I thought they did a great job of connecting all of the stories. And then, having an icon like Sam, who we really hadn't seen before, I thought they did a great job with. And yeah, I would like to see Michael Dougherty come up with another set of stories, maybe connected around Sam.
Yeah, I can see that.
Someday we'll get that.
Lisa?
Yes. This is like one of my all-time favorite Halloween movies. It's definitely a season favorite. I love all the actors that they did a really great job. The kids did a good job. Of course, we all know I'm biased on special effects. Special effects was great. I love the fact they did use a kid for Sam because, yeah, like Rebecca was saying, the way they move is so much different. I have to say I will give it a 5 because 1, I dress up as Sam for Halloween. I have the whole costume. And
Aww.
I just liked it. Yes. And I think everybody did a really good job. Even the story of the old grouchy old man was not the best, but it still gave the context in the whole circle.
Yeah.
So I give it a 5 skulls.
Rock on. Karen?
I enjoy the story. I watch it when I can, when it's like free streaming and I don't have to rent it. Because it's not in my DVD collection. Because I have too many DVDs. It's probably somewhere if I did have it. But yeah, I love Sam. I would like if they do a sequel. I would love to see Sam and his family if he has a family.
Maybe
his backstory, maybe.
Like this backstory, but I also want to see if there's other reincarnations of Sam. Like there's like an old man Sam. Like, I've been doing
Yeah.
this for thousands of years.
Or
Yeah.
to see him way back in like, like Celtic, like Ireland or something. And that would be, I would love to see that actually.
Because even though Sam technically is not based off of Irish folklore and all that, or Celtic folklore, there is a lot of similarities. But there were, he would have been technically part of like the Fae and fairy portion of everything. So there are those kind of deities for, spring and winter and summer. So his siblings could all be these other like seasonal transitional entities that take care of the season that they're part of. So there could be one that does more of like a midsummer type deal. There could be one that does more of like, the Krampus kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would like to see that. I would give it like a 4.5 because I wanted to know more story about the old cranky man. Less of the principal, more cranky old man.
That's fair. That's fair. I would give it a 4.5. I think there's a couple of things. Yeah, like I just like there's some stories I'm like, oh man, like that could have been its own film and I would have been perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Okay with it. And having Sam there too, like having it be like a Sam fueled thing, I still would have been perfectly okay with it. But then at the same time, I do absolutely love how it is an anthology and how the stories interact and intertwine. And there's that just like slight weird connection. And I do enjoy the whole process. The movie is enjoyable to watch. And it's one of those ones that like I can put on and just throw it on while I'm baking some rum cakes and I'm okie dokie, like it's a great one. So honestly, there's not much about it that I don't like. I think really it's just I want more, which I don't know if that should really count against it, but but I guess it does. So listeners, do you follow all of these Halloween rules and traditions? And would Sam come after you? I think you may need to rethink some things if you feel like he would come after you. I'm just saying. But tell us in her social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, and our Facebook group, which is so much fun to be a part of. You can also subscribe, rate us wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Apple, Google, Spotify. Yes, we are on YouTube. So please make sure you're going there, watching the whole thing, liking, subscribing, sharing the whole nine. But ladies, where can they find you to find out some cool more stuff about you and your thoughts on all sorts of fun Halloween stuff? Rebecca?
You can find me for the most part on my website, www.monsterkidatl.com, for all of your vintage spooky needs. I'm also it's under Instagram and the Facebook, and I'm not on the X or the
Threads.
The Threads, whatever the kids are doing these days.
Completely understandable. All right, Lisa, where can they find you?
You can find me on the Facebooks, the Threads. You can find me on Instagram. And that's pretty much it right now.
All righty. And Karen, where can they find you?
Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit.
Rock on. And my name is Shannon. You can find me on all the things at Spilled Tea Wine Media Mind. But audience, listeners, our beautiful little ghouls, we thank you so much for coming and listening to this podcast. We really do appreciate it. I hope you guys are having fun listening to it as much as we are making it. And so stay spooky, our lovely little ghouls.
And this has been the Spooky and Kooky podcast of Earth Station Boo.